The NFL draft is over and it's time to hop into the best ball lobbies. Underdog has already dropped Best Ball Mania 3. ADP is completely going wild right now with folks trying to figure out how to value the rookies. So, like I always do, I try and present at least an analytical justification for how I'm valuing some of these rookies. And so, with that, let's go and hop into it, as I always do, by the numbers. And so some of the rookies that I want to target, you've already probably seen the thumbnail, know the guys that I want to talk about, but let's take a step back. Let's at least set some expectations for these rookies. These are guys that, it's their first year in the NFL. We want to see, we're hoping that their skills from college translate to the NFL, but that's not always the case. Especially for wide receivers. I went ahead and took a look at the target shares over each week for the rookie wide receivers since 2017. It's 65 guys that have been drafted in the top 100 picks since 2017. So everybody from Corey Davis to Jamar Chase just this past year. And as you can see from the trend line, it does take some time for most of these guys to integrate into their offense. Not everybody comes in earning a 15 to 20% target share, which at least from a narrative standpoint kind of makes sense, right? Because it does take a second for them to figure out how to establish a rapport with their quarterback. It does take them a few weeks to establish the type of quarterback play or defensive play they're going to see in the NFL, learning the playbook. All these nuanced and narrative league type things that can make sense for why a wide receiver might take some time to develop. But as you can see, once we get towards the back end of the season, their target share starts to pick up as things start to click for them. In the first month of the season, average target share, for rookie wide receivers, is about 12%. But if you look at the back end, the last month of the season, weeks 12 through 16, especially in the playoffs, kicks out to about 14.5%. That's over the entire population that I studied here in this put together for this study. So with wide receivers, expect some time to develop. Running backs, not the case, because at least for them, we know going into their situation, if they can ball, if they might have some struggles, and also the archetype of running back that's being drafted in the situation that they're going to be in. But for the most part, as the trend line shows, as they continue to integrate into their offense, they'll continue to get their opportunity and pick up. So with that being said, let's go and hop into the three rookies that I want to discuss today. Treylon Burks that went to the Titans, Skyy Moore that went to the Kansas City Chiefs, and Rachaad White that went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And with Treylon Burks, he came into this entire draft with being comped to A.J. Brown. Now, of course, A.J. Brown gets traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, but let's look at his rookie season, as you can see in the chart right here. He followed that same trend that we were just discussing for most of the rookie wide receivers. Starts off kind of slow, builds up throughout his rookie season, and once we get into the back end, we see more games at 20, 25, even over 30% target share. But let's contextualize, the Titans offense for a second. This was a team last year that was 32nd in pass rate over expectation, 32nd in neutral passing situations. So, even that that 1 point, actually I'll pull it up again. You see this 1 point over here that's in week 17 where it was up to about 38%. He had a 30% target share. Sounds great in theory. A.J. Brown had 8 targets that game. They passed 21 times in that contest. So knowing how the Titans like to operate, knowing how they tend to lean on their running backs as the focal point of their offense. If we combine that with the fact that it might take a few weeks for Burks to get integrated into the offense, it could be a while before we see that type of production, that wide receiver one production that we're expecting. But I get I get the hype behind him. Lacking target competition. In an offense with a fairly efficient quarterback, he should get there. But like I said, it should take some time. And since he's going at the, let's say, 7-8 turn, I don't have a problem with his ADP, but it could be there could be a case of another rookie that can be taken 2 rounds later that you could get for similar production, or he could actually produce similarly to Treylon Burks. And the guy that I'm referring to is the next guy that I wanted to talk about, in Skye Moore. Skye Moore, available at wide receiver 52 at around the 10th round. goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not just because he's being attached to Patrick Mahomes, but it's just about how that offense is looking like it's going to operate here in 2022. And I'll bring up this chart that I've referenced a few times on the show already. And as I've talked about over the past few weeks, since 2018, Patrick Mahomes, his deep ball rate average depth of target has steadily dropped since that time. And like he hit an all-time low in 2021. I mean, with the increase in too high looks on the defense that they've been getting, he's been more apt to hit the middle or like intermediate and short areas of the field. He actually hit the slot area of the field on 24.8% of his targets just this past year. Skye Moore had nearly half of his targets during his final season at Western Michigan come from the slot. I mean, his average depth of target was 10.7. I mean, all of that fits perfectly with what Patrick Mahomes was doing just this past year. And so if Skye Moore, I mean, he was the 4th overall in yards per route run from the slot. He fits perfectly with how the Kansas City offense is going to look. Now, it doesn't mean that we're still not going to be able to get production from guys like Mecole Hardman. Still doesn't mean we won't be able to see like more of that high-flying type of attack like from Patrick Mahomes. But given the type of talent that they acquired over the offseason, so them going after Juju Smith-Schuster for the 2nd year in a row, on top of drafting a guy like Skye Moore, it all kind of fits for him to also be able to produce in his rookie season. But as I mentioned beforehand, we might have to wait a few weeks in order to see it happen. And with Patrick Mahomes and his propensity to throw once again to the red zone, again, I could see a case where he at least matches the production of Treylon Burks, just given the offense that he's in. And of course, the last guy that I want to touch on is Rachaad White. Rachaad White currently going as running back 44 in the 13th round. I mean, he goes to an offense that, I mean, has been a more productive offense like with Tom Brady. And looking at Leonard Fournette's target share, we see like towards the back end of the season as Gio Bernard got phased out, we didn't really see any of the other running backs start to get any larger target share. And also the wide receivers getting hurt, we saw Fournette's target share start to pick up. And while they signed Giovanni Bernard, Rachaad White is bigger than Gio. He's faster than Gio. I can see Gio being more of an insurance policy, or Rachaad White taking on more of that workload like towards the back end of the year. And also, I mean, the Buccaneers, they were first in pass rate over expectation once they got into the red zone. So with Rachaad White being 4th in yards per route run in the entire FBS just this past year at 2.25 yards per route run, he could be the target to have like on a productive offense. So with that, gave you 3 rookies to target once you get into your drafts this year. I mean, for other content, go ahead and take a look at Alex Caruso, who was looking at some of the veterans to target as well. Victoria should be coming along this weekend with some more hype to cover this draft. But for now, I'll leave y'all with that. I mean, take care, and I'll catch y'all in the lobbies. Peace.